Hey everyone, welcome to another Route Consultant weekly webinar for the bread and grocery industry. If you've never been here before, my name is Josh Gregory. I am the Vice President of Education here at Route Consultant. Our team ran one of the largest logistic operations in the country and has had over a decade of experience in valuing and selling and consulting on these types of businesses. And so the goal of these webinars is really to help all of you to understand what this opportunity is and what can come with owning a business in this industry. So we're going to be here for you every week to learn, for you to ask questions of us, and for us to find the right ways that we can help you accelerate your journey into the space if you do decide that it's something that you want to pursue. So if you are here live, we're always going to have a Q&A at the end. So any questions that may come up as we're talking today, feel free to ask. Or if you're watching this on YouTube later, always feel free to reach out to us, info@routeconsultant.com. Send your questions. We'll make sure that we call you back, that we answer over email, whatever we need to do to get your questions answered on the space. Now, for today, what we wanted to really focus on is that, when we talk about groceries and we talk about bread in stores, we're often thinking and talking about the actual shelves. So how to stock them, how to keep products fresh, and what you can do to manage that space in the store. But there's another space in stores that we get access to as contractors, and that's the separate display stands. But all those stores are going to handle displays a little bit differently, and there's some nuance here to how to utilize them most effectively. So today we're going to have Stephen Ryan back on, who has over a decade of experience in this industry, has put together plenty of displays to help us guide us through this conversation. So Stephen, if you want to go ahead and jump on and say hello, and we'll get started.
Hey Josh, great to be back with you. And yes, built a few displays in my day.
Perfect. Good to see you. So let's start at the retail level. So are all of these stores, like we talk about displays as kind of a generic category, does every store handle it the same? What should we expect there?
Sure, yeah, it's a great question. Each store is going to operate a little bit differently, but you should, as a general rule of thumb, be able to get display space in just about every store. So an important differentiating point here is whether this is a top-down mandatory display from a corporate office, impacting a regional area, or if this is something that you're going to sell in independently as a distributor yourself. And kind of two buckets to put these displays in are either a display that is provided by the store or one that you bring yourself. And so we can kind of start with the one that is offered in the store as a starting point. And the Kroger companies are a great option because they're nationwide. They operate under several different banners, but they all pretty much operate the same way. And so within the bread aisle, you're going to find three wooden tables, and there is going to be a display plan for that. Or you're going to hear terms like main, tie-in, feature. And so on that bread table, it might say your product is the main that week. And so that would consist of the sides of the table. This is probably 6 feet long and 4 or 5 feet tall. It's going to have 3 or 4 shelves on each side of it. And that's really the main focus. This is either a high velocity product or a deep discount that they really want to scream from the rooftops to show value to their customers. And you're going to get access to that several weeks in advance so that you know to order appropriately. Tie-in is going to be more of your top shelf, so just one shelf across the top of that, and then there's some tables have sides to those as well, so front and back versus left and right side could also be considered a tie-in.
Got it. So they do kind of give you some type of heads up that they're going to include you on a display. Is it because it's usually tied to discounts that they can know in advance how to structure those?
Absolutely. So when, the back office staff, when the representative for the bakery that you are selling has a meeting with, the Kroger company and they say, we're really having success with this line of SKUs. We're going to do it at a 2 for $5 or a 2 for $6 promotion, or maybe even a BOGO. They're going to come back with, this is a really great price point. We know that we get a 5, 6, 10x lift on this product. And so we're going to put it as a feature. You'd be really surprised at how much more space you have on a display than your everyday shelf. We've talked a little bit about that in the past, where if you might sell, say, 10 to 20 units of a product at full retail, you can expect 100 plus on a deep discount BOGO. So that increase in space is really critical to serving the customer and making sure the product is in stock.
Okay. And if they're giving you that display, does corporate tell you some indication of the percentage uplift they expect, or is that more on you to kind of figure out and order the right amount?
Yeah, that's really the secret sauce that comes with this business, kind of that nuance that we've been talking about as route owners. And so that could depend on the time of season. Of course, in the summertime, we've said before, you're going to sell a whole lot more buns in June than you will in January. So if they put buns on promotion in January, it's probably not going to be a deep discount. Obviously, 4th of July is crazy, so it might not be a BOGO. We're going to have a smaller discount around those premium holidays where we know people are going to be buying it anyway.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of the Kroger model. Are there any other models that you see to be aware of in these big box retailers?
Yeah, so we talked about display pieces that are in the store. And so Kroger kind of operates in that top-down model where every store is uniform and the same. Other retailers, for example, Publix, I know they're not nationwide, but they really allow the store to operate independently and to make their own display planners. And so on a weekly basis, typically 3 to 4 weeks out, a grocery manager or an assistant grocery manager is going to make a display plan for the entire store for the whole week. And they change those out every week. It's a lot of work, but it really is what sets them apart as a grocer. They're able to theme their stores really well and on a weekly basis to really focus on those products. That's how they show value to their customers. So 2 to 3 weeks in advance, I like to go to the grocery manager, show them what's on sale. After years of doing this, if they know you, they're just going to give you a good display. They know your service. So the interaction, decreases a little bit. But as you're starting out, you really want to be in their ear and make sure that they know that you're on sale and that they're going to make a great margin on the product.
Okay, I think that's a really good point because and even if you don't have Publix, I think that's a generally good point is that you may have stores that you're not familiar with, or if you get a new route or if you add an account, it may not be a model that you're used to. And maybe so is the grocery manager the person that you should talk to first when you're trying to figure out, hey, I know how displays have worked in some places. I'm trying to figure out the right person to talk to kind of have a conversation with about upcoming sales and make sure that we're on the same page for display possibilities.
Absolutely. Grocery manager is a great starting point. And they're going to have a list of all the products that are on sale for the given week that you're talking about. And they're going to go through that and it's going to show, high velocity, high priority, or low velocity, low priority. And so those high velocity products really need premium placement.
Got it. Okay. So we've got that side of things. We've kind of got a more custom model with somebody like Publix that'll have kind of more variability, theme it to certain things. Anything on the flip side that's even probably even less custom if it's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so on the super center side, we've talked about before, they operate on an everyday low price or EDLP sales model where there's not a whole lot of weekly sales. You might see occasional rollbacks on products. These might be things that are slower movers that maybe are coming out of the set soon and they're trying to really move them out. But everyday low price products, they have a place on the shelf. They may have a display in the speedway, but it's really not going to be dictated from the top down. A lot of times at the super centers, you can have lots of people in charge. There's so many different department managers, but really the store manager is where the buck stops. And you might have a assistant grocery manager, a zone manager that approves something that maybe is suggested from a corporate level. And then the store manager walks in and thinks the store is too crowded and wants it taken down. So there's that nuance that is variable by store. But of course, as you're moving into major holidays, you always want to ask for a display. That can be one that you bring, or that could be one that is custom made and you have the relationship, you're able to keep that in the store a little bit more permanently. We've had that experience in some of our stores where we've had a large custom feature in there for close to 5 years now. It's not permanent, it's not guaranteed. At some point it could go away. But that option is there for high velocity products.
Okay, so even though companies like Walmart are maybe more set in their way, there's not as many discounts, there's not as many of these opportunities. It doesn't mean they don't exist. You can still find ways to get displays and have those relationships, but you build it and you got to ask for it and show that you can stock those shelves and keep up with it the same way you do for all of these. Now,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And yeah, on the flip side to that, so that's kind of the bread equation. But as you move into cookie cracker, which I think is where you're going with that, products that have a longer shelf life, chips, some companies have pallet drop programs where there's a deep discount on a product. They negotiate a national sales price where, we're going to buy this much of this for a little bit of a discount, and it's going to get drop shipped to the product through the Walmart dock. So it's going to come on a Walmart truck. You're going to pay a pallet fee for that, but you don't have to touch it. It comes on the Walmart truck. It is put out by a Walmart person. It's pre-built with graphics on it. They're going to pull the shrink wrap off and they're going to put it on the floor. Now, once it goes out, you really want to do your best to manage that. So, as it is selling through, whether it's rotating it to the shelf or rotating it from the shelf back to the display, you want to know how long they're expecting that program to run, and you want to keep it full for as long as you can. But if it's a product that once they sell through it, they're going to pull it off the floor. It's a one-time deal. But that's really an incredible benefit if a company that you're looking to contract with offers that.
Okay. What is Walmart the only one that does pallet drops, or do you see it in any other stores?
You'll see it occasionally in Kroger with stuffing. So on the Pepperidge Farm bread side, we also sell a stuffing mix. They're
Okay.
really fantastic about cornering that market. Of course, Campbell's is the parent company to Pepperidge Farm, and a lot of the other products that you maybe use around Thanksgiving are tied into that stuffing mix, whether it's chicken broth, um, stuffing itself. And so that will come on a pallet that'll go out seasonally. But again, back to as long as it's a long shelf life item that they can build on a pallet and ship. Cookies, crackers, chips, definitely.
Okay, that makes sense. So now it's kind of a side question this too, but like, cookies and crackers, any of the different products that you have, do you generally see that you can get multiple displays at once? Is it just that they just want to give one to one person, or if you make the right kind of conversations, right argument that you can get it for multiple products that you're selling?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not uncommon at all to have multiple displays in a store. We have one right now where we have 5 displays in one store.
Wow. Okay.
Really high volume store. Walmart is making tremendous money on some of the product, and so it's not permanent by any means, but we've had it for a long time. They know they're making money on it. They know they don't have to pay any labor dollars on it, and it's really a win-win for both of us.
Got it. I guess that leads to another question. How long do these typically last? Is it something you say, I'd like to do this? They say, we'll see for how long it works, or do they ever set like, we'll do this for at least a month type of thing?
Sure. For, your top-down stores like your Kroger's that mandate a permanent display that they are providing, that's going to run for the duration of the ad, whether that's 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Displays that you sell in yourself that you bring, those can be as long as everybody's happy. Pallet drops are typically planned out 3 to 4 weeks. And so if they sell through really quickly in 1 week, you want to make sure you have product to refill that. If it's slower moving, and you still have product left over at the end of 4 weeks, they're going to pull it off the floor and you're going to want to sell through it off the shelf. But it's really variable there. So it depends on the store manager, it depends on the product, and it depends on how the display is built around the promotion.
Got it. Now you said they'll last as long as everybody's happy. What are the types of things that could lead to someone not being happy?
Yeah, so years ago, I had this. Well, I've mentioned it before, the summer grill cart. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. It was in a public store. It was in a premium position. It was really big and it was a little bit cumbersome to get around. We sold a lot of product off of it, but eventually one lady came through who had a disability. She was on one of those motorized carts and complained about her inability to get around this thing. Um, so it had to be pulled off. They're
Yeah.
really focused on the customer, and even though it was doing great, That little negative review was enough to have to find another way to display our product. So sometimes in the grocery business, it can be outside of your control, and you just have to take the wins with the losses and know that as long as I'm consistent, I keep asking, I keep pushing to find ways to grow my business, sell my product, represent the brand well, you're going to win in the long run, even when those little one-offs happen.
Okay. And yeah, and a grocery manager is gonna know that that type of thing wasn't your fault. So they'll know that you did a great job with the display, and the next time there's an opportunity, you can have that conversation. It's not like you lost it and messed up. I would assume the types of things that could damage a relationship is it mainly just not sufficiently stocking the display?
Yeah, you nailed it there, especially on Sunday. Sunday is a really big focus. When store managers are walking the stores with all their assistants, if something doesn't look good, they're going to pull it off the floor. So you want to make sure that you're stocked at a good time, 8, 9 o'clock. Make sure everything is fronted up. If you put a display out with bread on Friday, you probably can't wait until Monday to come back. So whether that's a merchandiser, someone that already works in the store that you have an agreement with, that can really solve this problem at a very affordable price point. 10, $15, they're already there. Just make sure they do it when they're off the clock, if it is someone that is working at that retailer.
Got it. Okay. Now, you said too just there that, you want to make sure that they look nice. Is it on you as the operator to make sure that the display itself continues to look good? I know that it's probably all about still making sure that your product's displayed correctly and shelved correctly, but you know, inevitably those are the types of things, just like what you mentioned with the scooter, that they get bumped because they're in different places and get shifted or damaged. Is it on you to make sure that type of stuff is fixed and up to par?
It's a little bit of both. So if you have a really nice display and someone is moving a pallet overnight and they bump it and ding it, a grocery manager might come through and turn it one way to kind of hide that ding. But if it's damaged to the point where it's falling over, absolutely don't wait for someone to complain about it. Grab a new shipper. If it's a cardboard shipper, if you're able, build a new one, make it look good. So that's going to go a long way.
Got it. That makes sense. It's, try to do whatever you can or have conversations. And if you have the ability to rebuild and bring in a new one, do it. So do you ever get to decide or have any input on where they're located? I think you've talked about on the grill before that they would co-locate products there as a way to boost the sales of everything. Like, do you ever get input on things like that, or is everything from a location and co-location of products done at the store level?
For Kroger on a top-down model, they're going to dictate everything, and they may say whether it's, if it's chips, it's going to be on the front of all five. If it's bread, it's going to be on the side of table two. Um, you have a lot more input with grocers that have the autonomy within the store to do what works best for them. So your retailers like a Publix or a smaller chain that has that freedom and flexibility. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to give you a premium spot right off the bat. Sometimes you have to take those losses with the less than premium spot and really point out, follow up with the grocery manager, say, hey, look, I took a risk here. I ordered all this product for you. Look at how much I've left over. Didn't do great with this promotion in this location. Could we try something new next time? And if you approach them with that posture, you're really going to get a long way.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And do you think most contractors do that, or do you think most contractors just kind of put their display out and it works or it doesn't? They don't really try to work on ways to make it better or build that relationship.
That's a great question. I can't speak for everybody. I think that some do a really great job, and others maybe out of sight, out of mind. They just want to, operate as a retirement gig. They don't want more than they can handle. They're not interested in growing their business more than would naturally occur on the shelf. So as you're evaluating these, I would, get some face to face if you're able with the seller. Ask the questions, are you aggressive? Go into his stores on a Sunday, see where the displays are, and that'll answer a lot.
Okay, perfect. Now, we've basically kind of touched on both coming from the retailer and the depot, but just can you kind of explain a little bit about how it works if you're trying to build, you basically bring a display that comes from the bakery or the depot where they're providing that, like, is it a different process? How hard is it to build? Do you have to convince a store more if you're bringing it?
Yeah, great question. So as you're going through this on the distributor side, you want to make sure you understand what is available to you from the companies. Most everybody is going to have a cardboard display. These are going to be really easy to put together. They might be 3 feet wide, 3.5, 4 feet tall, a couple shelves. You can easily put them up against the side of an end cap. You can put them back to back in a speedway. They're really versatile. Um, they usually have graphics on them that really kind of show the product and grab some appeal, kind of some eye candy. Um, these are not difficult, although some stores don't want them. If you're in a premium location, really an upscale location, and they want that store to look prim and proper and really cater to that affluent customer, they may have a no cardboard policy. At which point, if you have the ability to bring in a wire or a wooden cart, that's a great option. These are a little more expensive, but they are very versatile. So make sure you know what's available to you. And then lastly, if you have a good relationship, they want a permanent, semi-permanent display. You do have the ability through a company called Century Displays to build a large custom fixture. This is going to be wood. It's going to be very expensive, very heavy, but it's not something that can be easily taken down. So once it goes into the store, typically it's going to be there for several years. Again, the caveat there is they're never going to agree to something permanently,
Yeah.
but know that if it's brought in, it's going to be there for a while.
So something large like that, you say more expensive. Is it something you're completely paying for? Does the bakery help at all, or is it always an independent operator decision to go for something large and to try to pitch it to a distributor?
That's going to be in collaboration with the district manager. The company is going to pay for those displays. They're going to need to come in on a semi truck. They're big and heavy, but the money that they make off of these is really great. So most of the time, you're going to have a long permanent standing option with this.
And so for those big ones, if the bakery's doing a lot of it, is it something you ever get the ability to say, hey, I think it would be great if we had a more permanent, more sophisticated display? Do you tell your depot manager and they pitch it? Do you tell your grocery manager? Like, how does that kind of conversation work?
I would start with your market. So if someone else has one, I'd shoot a picture of it. I'd take it into my grocery manager. I'd say, look at this. This would look fantastic in your store. You've been having a lot of trouble with this end cap. It's dinged up. It doesn't look great. Would you consider something like this? If they say yes, that's awesome. Get a district manager involved so that they can coordinate the purchase, the measurement, the custom build of that. And then there's no mod to that. So you have the freedom to put whatever product you want on that. That's really going to move the most units. It's going to showcase um, new seasonal varieties. You want to make sure that you have that on there as well.
Yeah, because I mean, displays are, we've talked about it last week, but you get full control, or at least significantly more control over the products that you can put there. And really, it's, you're doubling sometimes your available space and able to put the products that are going to move the best. So especially if it's in a good location, if it's something that is eye-catching, it's not just a way to add a little bit of volume. You can double your volume by using displays effectively. There's lots of things to think about here when trying to be creative. Yes, there may be some process to have some of these conversations with a grocery manager and to go and think of creative new types of displays and take pictures of it and show people and set up conversations. But if you get a semi-permanent or a permanent location that lasts for 5 years and you're really increasing your volume in that store, that's a huge win and a huge increase for your business and for your territory.
Yeah, and this really comes back to when we talked about basket ring. If you have a product that when it's sold in a basket, it's 15% more than your average basket with a private label product. If you can key in on that, the retailers love that. There's deep dive analytics into consumer buying habits, and they know so much about what someone buys and when they buy it. When you can win new customers by putting out a display. They might say that our brand penetration, our household penetration on this one product is 1 in 10. So one person out of 10 families buys this on a weekly basis. You put it on a deep discount like a BOGO, you put it on a huge display, someone walks past it and they get that impulse buy. This looks good. This looks fresh. It looks desirable. They choose it, they like it, and they continue to buy it. And so that's how you grow your business. That's how you build market share, and that's how you win customers that you didn't have prior outside of the bread aisle, where there's just a sea of products, and it's easy to get your product lost across the market.
Yeah, that's a great point and a great call out, that putting it in a place where it's not surrounded by a bunch of competitors has a much better chance of building brand loyalty, especially if you can keep putting it in that place every week where it's always separate from the other bread competitors. Because yeah, when I go in the store, I either am grabbing the exact same kind of bread as I always get, or maybe I'm like thinking of a category of like, maybe I should eat whole wheat, and maybe I'll stick with the brand, or maybe I'll just grab the first one I see, or the cheapest one. So it's just a way to differentiate without having to do that much. But if you can be consistent and find a way to keep your bread separate, then you're going to find a way to continue to draw attention and get, like you're saying, potentially new customers that may then build brand loyalty to that type.
I think this is what I like the most about the grocery space that's unique to this logistics, model, where as an owner, you have so much more ability to influence your business than you might, in trucking or just moving one product from one place to the other. So it really allows for you to, be more of who you are, bring your value to the business and thrive.
Yeah, that's great. So, Stephen, thank you so much for kind of going over all of that. I'm going to quickly hit the 3 new listings, and then we'll close up unless there's any questions that come. So 3 new listings on the bread side this week. We've got one in Florida at $165,000. This one has over $700,000 of total revenue for the year. It's doing about 13 and a half every week. It's got 23 active accounts, and there is a vehicle available if you are looking for a vehicle. Next one is out of Northern Illinois. This is a bread route at $115,000. This is doing about 7K in weekly revenue with 13 active accounts, and there is a truck included in this sale. The last one is another one out of Illinois as well, and again has 18 active accounts, and it does have a truck included as well. So either in Illinois or Florida, the 2 new ones this week. And stay tuned to hear more from us on the listing side. So other than that, I'm not seeing any questions come in. So Stephen, thank you so much for all of your help this week. Continue to be a resource, and we will see everyone next week on the next webinar.
Thank you, Josh. See you guys.